Hey guys, this is Bobby. Real quick, before the show gets started, we had some audio issues due to technical difficulties on the second half of this episode. That's our apologies. Hope it's not too bad.
Welcome to the Fantasy Goons podcast, part of the Pucks Out family. It's time to skip the book and find out the info you need to win your league with Bobby, Davey, and Brandon.
Welcome into the Fantasy Goons. I'm Bobby. He's Davey. He's Brandon.
Hello.
You can find us on Twitter at The Fantasy Goons, and don't forget to check us out on TikTok, Twitter, and all the other social medias for the Pucks Out Pod, where you'll find us doing some shenanigans and hockey stuff. Now let's get you the info you need to be a champ. Some of you, congrats. We're not giving you much info this week because hopefully you don't need any more.
Hopefully you've already become a champ. If not, you're hanging out with me. What's up? You want to kick it? Pretty sure all year I've said straight dominating. I'm killing it. But I never disillusioned anybody into thinking that I was going to win the championship. I told them, I said, I'm going to get a first round bye. I'm going to lose in the first round. And it's like, technically I did not lose in the first round.
Well, then you did better.
I tied in the first round, but the one guy that, it was regular season wins was how it determined who moved on during in the event of a tie. Tied first round, and he beat me by one win in the second matchup that we played. Dude, it came down to the end. I was going to the next round with 4 minutes left in the Detroit Tampa game. And here I sit, hoping that, my co-host Davey and my best friend Ryan, I hope they both their teams die in a tragic car accident. I don't feel bad about that. I'm very upset.
Yeah, that's worst case scenario.
Dude, it was, it's absolute worst case scenario, bro. Absolute worst case scenario.
I'm in one championship this year. The high score our keeper league.
The league that dude has been literally the worst. There were 16. There's 6 teams in this league. Super high scoring. If he's played so bad this season that there were 6 teams in this league and he was in 8th place. That's how terrible he's been.
I finished
in the championship.
I finished the season
I'm
4-9. I had the second least amount of points for. I think my points against were just insanely high.
But see, you had such a low points for that it would not have mattered if you had a low points against, bro. I had such a good overall regular season in literally almost every one of my leagues. I've been talking it up all year. I have no playoff opportunities for championships this week as we speak. My 3rd place game in the league that I dominated in got beat 10-2. I got shredded in the league that I was dominating everybody. Bobby's now in the championship. What
can I say, man?
Hey, but to be fair to myself, forgetting my actual gameplay, I literally, what have I been saying all year? All you got to do is make it to the playoffs. Anybody can win the championship. So,
and the good thing is, if I win this week, I'm definitely getting a belt, and I'm
nice.
Buying your own belt.
Yeah.
That's
and
dope.
then I'm going to put my own saying on it. It's going to be like, and Bobby wept because there was no more teams for him to beat.
Hey, yeah, but seriously, both of you two, congratulations in the championships that you are in.
Congrats on a good effort.
Hey, you don't have to congratulate me for doing exactly what I've told everybody all year was going to happen to me.
So
okay?
it is funny though. I think what happened was this league, I was doing so bad, and it's one of those leagues where I set my lineups, but I'm putting more attention to other leagues. So here is the amount of moves made during the regular season for the teams. You've got 24. The Freddie, the guy I'm playing in the finals, 59. You got 17. You got 31. You got you with 23. I had 12 all regular season because I gave up.
Wow!
Now I made 6 moves this morning in that league.
Almost matched it. Yeah, but seriously, folks out there, hopefully we gave you some good advice. Congratulations. obviously, as I just said, congratulations to both of you. You both deserve to be where you're at. Unfortunately, as much as I hate to say that, especially you're playing for the championship.
I'm hanging quiet over here, guys, because
You're still in championship games.
I'm in 3 leagues this year. I won the championship in my North Dakota league. I'm in both championships in our high score league and our Peck of the Litter league.
Going for the 3-peat.
Going for the 3 in a row, 3 for 3. I'm trying.
Good luck. As far as in Peck of the Litter, I've never won that league. I have won the President's Cup 5 or 6 of the 7 years that this league has been active. Bobby's won a ship in that league. The guy that you're playing, Ryan, is won a ship in that league.
Okay, I haven't.
You've only been in the. To be fair, you've only been in the
COVID league.
Technically, I did win the ship last year, but there was no playoff. I'm not even gonna. Ryan, the guy that's playing, has won a ship. Our boy Nick Broski, he's won a ship in that league. The only 2 year after year players that have not won a championship in this particular league are the guys that generally dominate every year. Me and Riley. We just cannot come through. We draft too well, and that's the problem. But good luck to you. I hope Ryan doesn't win a second championship in that league. Mostly because I hate him because he just beat me basically for nothing.
Yeah.
Of the whole entire year, he had 1 more win against me than I had against him, and now he's playing for the championship because of it.
Man.
So,
well, I'm pushing. I'm beating him right now 8-5. That changes quick. It's still early.
Could be anything.
I'm losing to Riley though in the high score championship right now. So
matchup with Freddie.
It's a weak ship.
Yeah.
It's a weak league. A weak league.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a weird league because I'm like, I'm projected to the matchup right now. I'm projected 1,882 points. He's at 1,814. And I mean, it's going back.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which to you at home, that sounds like a lot. But I mean, it's just.
That's a pretty standard week in these leagues. Yeah, we'll be expanding our high scoring keeper league next year. So we'll obviously invite Davey into that.
Can't wait.
Get a couple.
I think I deserve it at this point.
Have we discussed how we do it?
You got to win, though. If you don't, you're out.
Have we discussed an expansion draft or how are we doing it?
We haven't. We got to get together for that as co-commissions.
Yeah.
So,
but I did real quick want to point out one more thing about one of my leagues. This is the league that I won in last week. I won the championship. I did 48 moves, most of everybody. And it goes to show you play the waiver wire. Like, and it won me a championship. I was 11-1 in that
points league, a categories league. Was it a pretty standard point scoring league?
It's pretty standard, yeah.
Okay.
It was, but still, I mean, you got to pay attention to these things. It doesn't have as many points as our other.
That's league, that's what I was saying.
Not many things have as many points as that league.
Yeah. In our high scoring leagues, moves mean something, but they don't necessarily mean something because you can have a guy score 100 more points in 1 week than he generally scores, and it really beefs it up. So, but it's in a standard point scoring league or a standard categories league, you're right. But to be fair, we've been telling people that all year.
Yeah, pretty much.
Make your move.
This just validates it,
people.
you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's good that obviously I'm not in line for any championships, but both of you are, and that's validates.
You're in luck, my
saying.
friend, because we've got the playoff pool fantasy.
Ooh.
Well, only if I play substantially better than I did last year, of which I've got, in the last two, the last 2 episodes of that fantasy thing, I'm pretty sure that I chugged like 2 or 3 beers during it just to be annoying to you two, you guys, because you guys were basically facing off, and
what a battle that was.
Yeah, let's do a quick recap for those at home that weren't here last year, and do a quick recap of last year's standings. In third place, listen, you're only as strong as your weakest link. But he had a good showing. He had an honorable showing.
I had a really good, strong start. Was the problem I was leading pretty early on, right?
You were,
it was like not even funny.
All your teams got knocked out.
Well, I mean, my boy Connor McDavid, like had me leading for like 6 rounds, and dude was out.
And the best part is almost every point Connor McDavid had meant I got a point because I had Draisaitl.
Shut up! I was terrible. I was in 3rd place.
So. At 145 points behind first place, it's Hoosier defenseman Brandon Steen at 3rd place with 378 points. with 19 points behind first place. My team just named Bobby. And then 0 points behind first place with 523 points at first place. 82-0 is Davey. Listen, it was close up until like the last, pretty much the last 2 games of the last week is when you kind of.
Well, he had a lot more in the final. Was the big advantage.
I loaded up on lightning,
honestly,
and stars.
As a guy that does not like to lose, it was really fun being a drunk commentator over here on the side watching that battle, because it was legit. Like, you two were just going back and forth. That group chat, obviously, which I was a part of but did not engage in. It was just like both of y'all saying like, "What's up with my guy? What's up with my guy?" It was really fun as a guy that was not in the midst of getting donkey kicked to watch. If I was just an outside spectator and was never a part of it, it would have been a lot more fun. But it was a really good battle last year. But this year it's a little more normalized without the play-in rounds and things like that. So I'm a little more excited. I'm gonna win this year, guys.
You win this one?
Yeah.
No. Heard it here first.
So let's get some early predictions. Last year, the MVP of the playoffs for fantasy-wise was no question Braden Point.
Yeah.
The way we scored, he had 92 playoff points. The second best, I believe, was Kucherov with 77. That is, for a guy that originally wasn't going to be on my team, a guy who was just going to be a backup, and then you guys talked me into, doing
You were
that.
not for it, and we talked you into it stupidly.
Was fantastic, but he didn't win the Conn Smythe, though.
Yeah, well,
that was crazy.
Yeah, we debated that.
We
a little
did
bit.
talk about it.
Yeah.
Well, it was Hedman, right?
Yeah, Hedman won it. Yeah,
he had 64 fantasy points.
Yeah, it wasn't like a terrible decision or anything, but like Braden Point carried them through a few games for sure.
But all right, so like we said, we don't have much stuff for you this week, but we do have the clinch format. This year, the Stanley Cup playoffs will feature a 16-team best of 7 4-round playoff format beginning on May 11th, as long as no games are postponed. The top 4 teams in each division will qualify for the playoffs with intra-divisional play in the first 2 rounds, which means number 1 versus number 4, number 3. The 4 teams that advance to the semifinal round would be seeded by their regular season point total, with the number 1 team playing the number 4 seed in one series and the number 2 versus number 3 in the other. I like reseeding the playoffs. I think it's the proper way to do it.
It's the way the NFL does it, and we can all, agree to disagree, but I believe that the NFL playoffs are almost the most exciting, especially for a league that literally only has one game during the playoffs. We get 7-game series from these guys. Reseeding is better because especially since you don't have to play that same team that you expect them to play.
Yeah. You guys know my thoughts. I still think it should be number 1 versus number 16.
Yeah. I don't agree with that. I do like the conference division on it, but I do think 1 versus 8. Yeah, I think it should be 1 to 8.
I'm indifferent. I do think we're going to see more hockey or better hockey this way. I think you got better teams.
My biggest thing is that I've never liked this is how it has. Like, why not every 5-7 years switch it up? Every 7 years we do 1 versus 16.
I feel
another 7 years.
To be
1 versus
fair,
8.
though, I do feel like the NHL has been better at transitioning what happens.
Yeah, for sure.
Other
Absolutely.
leagues.
Absolutely.
Because I feel like in the NHL it's not as abrupt. Where if you were to do that in the NFL, it would be like full stop, like watching a train go off the rails.
But they do that in the. They do one.
Well, what I'm saying is, if they
change.
if they changed up the playoff format one year,
right?
Like, it would be a train wreck watching the NFL deal with that.
Weird.
Well, I think it would be I think what you're thinking of is a train wreck of Twitter. I think you're on Twitter a lot, so Twitter would be a train wreck. So therefore, it would be a train wreck.
We see what Aaron Rodgers is bitching about right now.
Yeah, I'm with Aaron Rodgers. This is a hockey podcast.
I know. But all right. So as far as clinching scenarios, Discover Central, Carolina, Florida, Tampa Bay have clinched. As of recording, Preds could be clinched by the release of the show. Mass Mutual East, Washington.
Do you want to tell how that can happen real quick?
Yeah. So if you're listening to this after, when this released on Monday, they probably
a few days ago.
Yeah. So, but as of Tuesday, I'm recording. If the Preds get a win at all
on Wednesday the 5th,
and Dallas loses, doesn't go to overtime at all, then it's done. They can clinch on Wednesday. I see you shaking your head over there. Yeah.
He's saying it's not going to happen, but
It's going to happen. Preds are going. I mean, you got Dallas had to win those games, man.
I think that the Preds are going to Preds it, and
Not
they may
clinch until
go.
game 56.
They may go, but 56 games is going to be very important. For the
Now,
Preds.
luckily,
Yeah.
they're going against Columbus. I honestly, Dallas's biggest issue was their remaining schedule that they had.
It's tough.
Yeah,
Like,
it is
cool.
tough.
That's
But in the amount of games they had to play in the last,
they had-
in the last like 30 games of the season, because of COVID hitting them early on, they had to play so many games. They didn't practice
Yeah.
schedules.
But
and
also,
it's just-
hey, if you win less than half of those overtime games that they got 14 overtime losses.
There were-
That's on them. man.
There were
Bad.
despite the amount of games played, there were many games that Dallas had in hand that they dropped.
Mhm.
And I've been hyping Dallas. I've been thinking that they were going to sneak into that spot until this past week, where they've just dropped a couple
Fell
games
out.
that they should have.
I mean,
Preds almost dropped that game yesterday,
yeah.
and they very well could have.
they could have.
That could have
And
been-
Stars losing another overtime last night. Like,
change. Well, see, if the Preds also lose in overtime, the landscape of what we're talking about is completely changed.
yeah, for
as
sure.
well,
But
so.
a good fantasy fact for everybody who the 0% of you playing in a championship next week. Tyler Sagan's back.
just in time to fuck you over.
I drafted
Yeah,
him with
right.
my 4th round pick.
He was in my IR slot in the league that I won last week.
I just saw you
The
dropped him,
whole
right?
I would have laughed if that was a keeper league by accident. You dropped him.
Whoops.
I don't know though. Like,
yeah, Tyler Sagan. Come on.
yeah. I mean, it was not.
Hey,
It was
well,
not.
which
a
means he's
bad
rested.
hold.
He's gonna. I mean,
It could
well, I
be
was
big
gonna
for the
say-
Stars. Yeah.
well,
it could-
I mean, it could be good for fantasy pool, but probably not.
scored in his first game
Yeah.
back. All right.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a good point. But okay, so let's move on to the Mass Mutual East, who is all locked up.
Yeah, Washington,
Yeah.
Pittsburgh, Bruins, and Isles have clinched. Listen, from this whole year, I've said that I think that the Avs, I think, are going to win it. But honestly, from what I've seen, I think it is a team from the East. It's theirs to lose. They are so good, and the competition has been so good all year that they have just been going at a different click than every other.
Yeah.
Can I say real quick though that as much as I believe in all 4 of those teams' potential to win the cup, I think them beating up on each other all season, going into the playoffs, beating up on each other, I think that they're gonna be tired going. Whatever team makes it through going into the 3rd round of the playoffs, if they even make it that far,
I could see that.
I think that they're going to have beat each other up all year. That we may not even see one of those teams.
So for what you're saying, obviously, this isn't to get an edge on you guys, but for the people at home, does that mean you're avoiding taking them in playoff pools then? Like,
no,
yeah,
because I think
get
that
points
I
so
think
you can
that
get them. Like,
I think that the point opportunity from them
yeah,
are
and the players in the East are just out. I mean, you're talking Pasta. You got Marchand. I mean, you've got Ovi. I mean, you got so many of them.
Yeah, I think that we're not. I'm not saying that these guys are not going to be valuable playoff pool assets for us. I am just saying that I don't know that these guys are going to be able to push through after having to play each other.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
The
I think
two of those guys that move through to the next round, then having to either play each other or other teams, are just going to be so beaten up. That's my
Agreed.
biggest thing is I would not be surprised if any one of those 4 teams won the Stanley Cup. But I also would not be surprised if after the 2 teams advance, those 2 teams are.
And I wouldn't be
both out.
surprised if the first round, each of the matchups go full 7 games in multiple overtimes.
Yeah,
So
and that's gonna
I could see it
hurt you.
happening. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's going to be good if you take those players. You want 7-game series, man.
Well, we want 7-game series for all of
Every
these,
single
mostly
one,
because,
yeah.
even forgetting that we are competing upon playoff hockey,
Yeah.
boys. There ain't
More.
nothing,
Give me more.
Yeah.
There ain't nothing
Yeah.
better on earth.
I feel like they should require 7 games, even if you're lost 4. You got
You just gotta keep
You got
playing.
one more chance.
you just gotta play again. Like you're not moving on to the next round.
It's like, I don't know
but you
why the
gotta play
commissioner made this rule.
7.
He recently started playing fantasy playoffs, but
Yeah, so I feel like while I feel like any like I said, any of those teams could win, but I feel like the problem is that they all have to play each
for
other.
sure.
Yeah.
Over in the Scotia North, we've got the Leafs and the Oilers have clinched. I think there is a scenario for before this show releases that the Jets
Jets and Habs.
Jets and Habs.
I've got. I don't have the
I'm
actual.
shocked that the Habs are in a spot.
They're pretty much all but locked into a fourth spot. The Jets and Habs. The Jets and Habs are both at 51 games played with 57 points, and the Flames are at 50 games played, 47 points. Yeah. Basically,
Flames are done.
In order for the Habs to be out, they would have to lose every single game, not even including overtime points, and the Flames would have to win all of their games.
It's a 10-point difference, but that's a challenge.
10. That means 5 points plus.
Right.
You gotta be able to beat point wise head to head.
Yeah.
And honestly, while I feel what you're saying, Bobby, there's just not really any.
Well, I guess I just haven't been updated on the.
There's just not any realistic way for the Flames to win, minus some things that may happen in sport. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's as close to impossible as you can get.
Well, it's been good to see Montreal playing a little bit better. You got Suzuki finally playing a little better hockey now.
After I lost in my semifinals with him,
after I dropped him 2 weeks ago.
So glad that he's playing so well.
He's picking it up. He's going to finish the season strong, so that could help him. But
I will 100% be a. Once the Preds are out of it, I'm full on Habs fan, man.
I'm a Habs.
I got money riding on that.
I'm a Habs guy anyway. It seems as though, with the 4 teams clinching in the East, that my Flyers bet to win the Cup is probably not happening. Speaking of, I owe you guys both a cup of water, right?
We're going to do that because, listen, at any point, one of the teams might get COVID and they got to be replaced. And then at that point, I got a chance.
There is a chance, though, yeah.
So by that logic, he also has a chance.
I won't pour water on you guys until after it is for sure that the Blue Jackets and the Flyers do not make it to the playoffs.
Now, also, what if they somehow trade enough players, even though the trade deadline's over? Because it's one of those things. It's like, how many planks of wood are replaced until the ship is a different ship? At what point, how many Flyers fans got to go over to the Islanders? They're now the Flyers.
I will tell you. I will tell you, for the purpose of me pouring water on you, none. I'm pouring water on you, cats.
It's a damn shame that we didn't play points because I'd have gotten lit.
I don't know why we should have played points. Why didn't we? Like, that's such a dumb thing.
Well,
I don't know.
Bobby, a couple weeks ago tried to be like, well, let's see who gets eliminated first. And it's funny. It's so lucky you didn't accept.
No way.
Because you would have lost, Bobby. They've been eliminated pretty early on, like 2 weeks ago.
I thought Flyers got eliminated like 2 days after Columbus is when I saw it. I thought, at least that's when I got the update. I thought Flyers got eliminated like literally like 48 hours after Columbus.
Maybe so, but
That's what
it was a funny argument that you tried to make in the group chat, bro. You guys are both getting watered up. Okay, we gotta guarantee that we're gonna watch a game together, at least one playoff game, and I get to water you guys, and you guys have to watch water.
I can't believe how wrong we were. I mean,
not even just like generally wrong.
Literally as wrong as we could be.
I know.
Like, your team, like Columbus was probably the worst team in the league.
They went below Detroit, guys.
Your team is worse than Detroit. Your team is not nearly as bad, but only because Buffalo's also in the division.
By the time this airs, that could change. I hope it does.
There's a chance.
Davey's like, yeah, bro. I mean, my team was only 7th. It's
but coaching problems, and never mind, we're not even going to get into it.
All right, over in the Honda West, we've got the Vegas Avs and the Wild are clinched. Blues are 5 points ahead of the Yotes with 3 games in hand. Listen, you guys heard what I said on the show. Everyone every once in a while is wrong once in their life, and this was my one time being wrong. But not fully wrong, because listen, there's still a chance.
But to be fair, in the main show, look, Bobby, when you're wrong, I like to highlight it, like shout it from the mountains.
Well, now's your one chance.
I love to shout it from the mountains, but I said it in the main show. I'm going to say it in the fantasy show. You weren't as wrong as Davey and I told you were going to be.
It's true. It's
we're talking about a good stretch for them. And realistically, it is more Arizona playing poorly than it was the Blues playing well. They've had a good stretch at the end. But there was a time where both Davey and I had called you a stupid idiot, which we still agreed with. But like that particular prediction may not have made you a stupid idiot. They played bad. They played a lot worse than both of us said that they were going. So you're wrong, but not as completely wrong as you apparently never are, but as generally I see you being. The Blues did drop the ball big time throughout especially right after that prediction, they really dropped it hardcore. And it looked like for a little bit that you were going to potentially be right. There was a couple of us that stated that the Sharks were going to be coming for that spot, and they dropped off after I kind of predicted that. It wasn't a bad call. It was a wrong call, but it wasn't a terrible prediction.
We do have some breaking news. Evgeny Kuznetsov has been placed on the COVID list for the second time. There are chances that a outbreak in the Washington locker room.
Ooh.
Flyers are back in it, baby.
I don't think so. I think that it would be the Rangers, bud.
It would be.
Even if a team gets dropped
I'm
from
going
the
to
East.
schedule their hotel, the Capitals hotel, and the Rangers hotel. So therefore,
all together.
So they're going to be okay by the
that
time
is
playoffs
going to
start.
hurt me though, because I did throw a little money on the Caps winning the division. So if they have to drop some
that'll
guys,
hurt you.
because I'm currently winning my money, but if they have
Not
to
for long.
lose a bunch of guys for the last 4 games, that could hurt me. So, but that is big news. If Kuznetsov, whether or not it affects regular season or whatever, they're in the playoffs. So that's not a question. But some of these guys that have got COVID have taken it worse than others, as is across the country and our country and all countries. There have been some of the greatest athletes that we've ever seen take it pretty hard and have a hard time coming back. And then they're guys that it never affected whatsoever.
Right.
And it's the same guy. That will be interesting. It is very intriguing that you doubling up, bro. Like, how you caught COVID twice?
I don't
And this
know.
is
access-
this was after he was suspended by the team for disciplinary reasons the other night.
You've had
Just bad luck.
access. You've had access to the vaccine since it's been available to like the regular public, like February, March. You have to imagine this guy's had access to it since like September of last year.
You think so?
So he got the knockoff Russian vaccine.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's the problem. They thought they were sending the vaccine to Panarin. And they sent it to Kuznetsov, and he's dying
Yeah,
because
pretty
it was
much.
realistically it was
Well, he had to
anthrax.
test it before Ovi took it, obviously.
Yeah. So I mean that really will affect things.
It
for
absolutely
sure. I mean
will.
that's good breaking news. But
Yeah.
Honda West it for us, bro.
We just did. Vegas.
Oh, we
Avs,
did.
but we're gonna wrap up with some outlook for the playoff fantasy year 2.
Real quick, can I interrupt for 5 seconds?
Obviously,
I just want to know. This is stupid, but everyone's favorites. Real quick, I do want to know who you're projecting to win the Stanley Cup. Because I was thinking about it earlier today, and I love the Central, and then I was hearing Bobby talk, and Bobby was like, "Oh, I love the East," and then I don't know. I just want to know where everyone stands. Like, do we have a team in mind? Do we?
I'm
you going Avalanche?
I'm full Avalanche. I think they are such a dominant team from top to bottom. I don't, and honestly, I don't see it. Listen, you're right about the East. I don't see a Central team winning. I don't see the Leafs. I don't see anyone from the Scotia North winning
No,
this.
I count out Canada.
I think it's going to come. Honestly, I think it's going to be Vegas or Avs. To be completely honest, I think that there's a chance maybe we could see Tampa repeat, but
Okay.
I think it's going to be hard. I think Tampa again is going to get caught up, facing a good Carolina team at some point.
Good choice. I mean, you can't go wrong with those guys. I'm going to go back to, like I've been saying from the beginning, in which you and I said last year, we thought Carolina would go pretty far. And so that's my team. Carolina's my team. I like Central. I like its Central team. I really do. But if I had to pick one, I'd pick Carolina. Watched them a lot of games this year.
I
with
would
our
say
teams.
They're their
Carolina's probably going to have an easier road. Imagining that they're going to have to play either Dallas or the Preds both of
Right.
which they've straight dominated all
Pretty
year.
much, yeah.
And then either rolling in to play.
Which will
No,
be a-
no. I mean, it's reseeded.
Oh, that's
so
right. Yeah, I don't even know. I'm not-
So, they could play a beat up one of the two Eastern teams that have to roll in.
All right, so we're moving into the year or two of the fantasy playoffs. Let's talk about going forward. Any thoughts on how you guys will approach this based on what happened last?
It's really tough to. I added the question here, but I mostly added it to say that it's really tough to approach it the same way from last year because there's no play-in.
Yeah.
If it was,
and you obviously don't want to approach it the same way because it didn't work well.
It did not work well at all. But if we were, if there were playing rounds, I would definitely approach it. It turned out that having less games early ended up being a much more beneficial to Davey. Davey had the most guys on those play-in teams that were definitely in for the next round, and it benefited him because those guys definitely got 7 games plus the extra games play-in. But approaching it, I think I tried to go too far outside the box.
Yeah.
It was a bigger problem. Was like we know these guys. We all watch hockey. We see what they do every single year. I think I tried to go too far outside the box to get the edge on you guys, and that was my problem.
Yeah.
It provided me some major benefit early on. Shea Weber was you guys laughed at me for taking him with one of my last picks. He provided such a benefit early on that I was laughing at you guys, but then
Only for a little bit.
But then his team, but right, exactly.
Yeah.
But then his team didn't advance.
Yeah.
And so, like, realistically, stopping thinking about the best player, but thinking in terms of this team is going to play 4 rounds. And it's exactly as we tell people throughout the fantasy week. Forget about the best player and get the guy that's going to get you the most games, because totality is what's going to add to your stats
for sure.
As opposed to the guy, Shea Weber had arguably one of the best playoffs, but he only played 5 games. So it doesn't help you. So thinking out, and so stopping thinking outside the box going into these playoffs, which is a little different because every team is going to at least play 7 games. Well, at least play 4 games, I guess. So that was my biggest thing, was outside the box thinking in playoffs. Stupid, because it may help you, but it's probably not.
Yeah. I think last year I did min-max. I just went full forwards, and you guys, and like we said earlier, you guys gave me shit for that. And honestly, I was scared about it.
It was,
but then it turned up, and I think
Worked
honestly,
out.
I don't know if I'm gonna. I think I'm gonna do that again this year, and I think that's a smart. But you gotta. I don't know. It's rough. It's one of those things because you have to play it by ear once you're in the draft and see who starts going off the board. Because I didn't go into that draft thinking I'm going to go full forward.
Well,
it just kind of turned into that.
The biggest advantage for Davey, the last year's winner, was that he got the best players of teams that we avoided early,
which is my point.
Ended up
yeah.
being the value there.
Mhm.
Like, your min-maxing help. I think that I largely agree with your min. Both of us went for D-men that were strong D-men early, and D-men don't necessarily translate because their value is different than what an offensive player is going to provide you, the value that he provides you, whereas a defenseman may not score you a lot of points, but he provides so much value to his team that he's advancing it. I feel like I agree that the early drafting, because we thought we had you, because we got that great defender early. And if Davey would have avoided that, I mean, obviously I was not even close. It was not really an option for me. But if Davey would have avoided that and probably gone, because I mean, there was a couple times he took a defenseman that he thought he should have taken a forward. If he would have taken a forward, it would have been over in week 2 or 3. So I don't necessarily disagree with that, where defensemen can be of such value throughout the regular season, but then a guy like Victor Hedman wins the Conn Smythe when we don't necessarily agree that he maybe should have points wise or what traditionally gets the Conn Smythe, but he provided so much value to his team that didn't translate to fantasy.
Yeah.
What I focused more on, and just to speak my part real quick, my approach last year was literally I paid attention to the teams I thought would make it, would go further into the playoffs. And that paid off for me because the teams, I was just right about it. I was projecting that properly, right? So, and being lucky with the Dallas Stars and things like that, and my goaltenders, I got pretty lucky there. I'm unlucky with Ben Bishop being out and stuff like that. But I focused on the teams that I really felt like had a chance based on their matchups, based on, their team. And it worked out for me because they actually did progress. They actually moved forward. And it was less about the player for me. Like I said, it's more about the team at that point. So I kind of focused more on my beliefs and thoughts and stuck to my gut on my teams. So
yeah, I mean, it obviously showed. You had tremendous value. I would say arguably the players Bobby had towards the end were better players.
For sure. Yeah.
But you had more of them.
Yeah.
You know, and that was the value that came with that your team that you believed in moved further. And so that's definitely something that I'll look at after doing this is, I mean, you got to look at the former champion and mirror what they're doing. Otherwise, keep doing the same thing over and over again. It provides you no value. So I really love that thought.
All right, guys. Hope you guys who do weirdly have any championships, good luck on that. But to all you winners out there, congrats, and losers, better luck next year. We will see you guys next week.
Peace.
This has been the Fantasy Goons podcast, brought to you by Standing Stone Farms. Listen to the boys every week and join in on the conversation on the three majors of social media.